Hello and welcome to In the Dot. I'm your host today, Sharita Hutton, and I am honored to be joined with our new superintendent of schools, Dr. Anna Stubblefield. Thank you so much for joining us. I know people have a ton of questions about what this 2021 school year is going to look like, but first of all, I want to go back. When you first saw this job opening with KCK Schools, what drew you to apply?
Well, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I want to go to a district that has more diversity in the student body, a district that's in the city. Eventually, that was my hope, but I was very happy in my current position. So I kind of noticed it, but didn't do anything with it right away. And then a couple of people reached out to me, and that to me was a sign. And as I did my research and talked to some people, I said the worst thing that could happen is I can go through the process and learn, and potentially down the road, if that is something that is in my future, it will work out. Well, it turned out that the board and I connected, and they selected me, and I'm excited about it.
And we are also very excited about this. So most people probably don't know, you actually have connections to KCK.
Yes, although I went to school in Kansas City, Missouri, I'm very connected to Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. And I often share with people, officially in my mind, I was adopted by the Dot, lots of families in the Dot, around 1990. My high school basketball coach is a graduate of FL Sligo, and she, born and raised in Kansas City, Kansas, adopted me in high school just because of my family circumstances, and she's my mother now. So I have lots of family and friends here. I've been a part of this community in some form or fashion since the early 90s. Lived here while I was in college. My permanent home was here, although I was at KU. But Wyandotte County in Kansas City, Kansas is near and dear to my heart, just like Kansas City, Missouri. So I am, I guess it's by state, I don't know. I have a connection to both Kansas City, Missouri and Kansas City, Kansas, like a lot of people in this area, and I'm grateful for the village that invested in me.
So it just pretty much made sense almost that you would come here and start making a difference in the place that made a difference in your life.
Yes, absolutely. I have two other connections. I did my student teaching at Sligo High School. It just happened. It wasn't like, oh, I want to go to Sligo, but it was there, and it was a wonderful experience. And I got my master's in special ed, and did my practicum at Harmon High School in the autism room at that time. And so I had experiences in Kansas City, Kansas while I was being prepared to be a teacher, and enjoyed and learned so much in both of those experiences.
I will say I've had the pleasure of being places with you out in public, and people run up and gravitate to you, not just because you're the new superintendent, but because they know you from your past.
Yes.
And there's people around this entire town that praise what you have done for education. How have you got to this point? What is that driving force inside of you that you have made this impact at such a young, I'm going to say at such a young age?
So one of the things that I often share with people is school was my safe place, and I know how important that is for so many kids. And so I'm not saying that you have to replicate my experience, because I loved school and I loved learning, hence I majored in education. But I also know that it can be the safe place for any child, and it can also open doors that you never knew existed. And it also can connect you to people that will be a part of your life for a lifetime. So my hope is that experience, that positive experience, those connections, those open doors, we can do that for every student, no matter what pathway they choose when they leave here. But I always say, my hope is that, like for me, I have more positive memories about my school experiences than negative, and I would want every student that leaves Kansas City, Kansas public schools to have more positive memories than negative memories, and also to have the skill set to go and explore and do whatever their hearts desire.
So let's talk about this first year for you. When you think about goals, maybe even personally, what does that even look like?
So personally, I do want to get to know the staff. I definitely want to get to know students, and I want to get to know families and community partners. My success, when I think about where I was the most successful in my career, the feedback that I've gotten is because of the authentic relationships that I've had with a variety of people in the communities that I work with. And with those relationships, you can build trust, you can build bridges where trust has been broken, and then you really know and understand what the focus needs to be. Obviously, educating our students to have choices when they leave the system is our first priority, but we also need to know who they are, where they're coming from, in order to know how to meet their needs to get them to move forward academically in the system. So when I think about goals, is really getting to know and understand and hear the stories of all of those stakeholders in order to focus on the learning and social emotional well-being of our students.
And when you think about your goals, a lot of that also has to do with the backside, so us, like what can we do to help you? So let's start with our parents. When you think about this school year, we're coming off COVID. Well, COVID's still around.
Yes.
And it seems like it's getting worse once again. When you think about parents and guardians and what they can be doing to really push our students to succeed, what does that look like?
I think it's important for parents and guardians to lean in and to support their students. And I also know and understand that leaning in looks different just depending on your family circumstances, your capacity, and what your child needs. So as much as they can stay connected, I also encourage them to lean on one another. My own personal experience, and I share this often, I had a great experience in public schools. I graduated from Northeast in Kansas City, Missouri, went pre-K 12 Kansas City, Missouri. And truthfully, my mother is no longer living, my biological mother. She never went to one parent-teacher conference. She never was able to do what a lot of the other parents did. But there were parents that were friends of mine that would lean in and make sure that whatever information that I needed or whatever information my mom needed, that it happened. And so in those cases, we all know, like, it takes a village, and when we see that someone else's parents can't, as a school community, staff, a lot of staff does it naturally. And I know that we have a lot of families out there that take care of other families, and I think as much as we can, we have to take care of each other, but those who can, just be connected to their schools, be open when information is coming out, check with your neighbors to see if they received it, and just help one another. And together as a village, we can all lift one another. Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. Lean in. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our students.
Yes.
We are here for them, right?
Absolutely.
But they also have to be held accountable when you really think about this, that it's that hard work and drive. What would you say to them as we head into the school year?
Again, I'll say the same thing to them. Like, we're all living through a pandemic, which is hopefully once in a lifetime. We'll get through this and we won't have to deal with it again. But this is a time for them to lean in and also to tell us what they need. And I think and I don't know for sure, I think we do have to find a way to hear from them, like let them know what the expectations are. Like when you come to school, the expectations are, we have to teach you math, reading, writing, but we also, there are lots of opportunities for you to engage in activities that you may enjoy. So talk to us about what's the best way for you to get this information, what supports and structures you need in place for you to be successful. And depending on the age, how they may be able to communicate that may look different. But when we are asking, my hope is that the staff that they interact with on a day-to-day will build those relationships for students to show up as their authentic selves and be like, I really don't like this, but I'm gonna do it. But this is where what I enjoy. Is there an opportunity for my learning to include this or more hands-on? I think if we listen to our students, we can engage them more and get the best out of them.
And then let's talk about our staff. And that is, and when I say staff, I'm really saying everybody. I'm talking about our teachers, our principals, our bus drivers, custodians. Everybody has a hand.
Yes.
In what the future of this district looks like. What are your expectations for everyone else?
So I think it's the same thing. Every role that's in this district is vitally important, and there's no role that's more important than any other, because we're all here to create an environment for our students to be successful and thrive. So once again, all of the staff, they know the jobs that they accepted, they know the expectations of the job, and as we are communicating, especially during this pandemic, my hope is to provide opportunities for, as we're rolling things out, for staff to give feedback on, so where we can adjust and adapt, but recognizing we all have to be flexible and adjust and adapt, and that our goal is to work together to create the environment that will allow our students to be successful, but at the same time, addressing the well-being of our staff, because they're going through this pandemic as well, and being there for one another during this time. And even when we get through this time, just supporting each other around the district initiatives, and knowing that the whole reason we exist is for our students. So all of our decisions should be centered around what is best for the students that we serve.
Thank you, Dr. Stubblefield. This has been an absolute honor. We are looking forward to learning more about you. We are looking forward to getting the school year started, of course. And since you've been here since July 1st, we have started kind of brainstorming some ideas on ways that you and the community will be able to connect even better with Dr. Stubblefield in the district. So we are happy that in a couple of weeks and days that we will be able to announce some fun things. Just make sure you stay tuned to our Facebook page and our Twitter handle, and we will release that information. So once again, thank you, and thank you for joining us in the Dot.